Greg Lake bring to Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
Well, he brings a certain amount of understanding as far as the sonics, the sound.
Apart from great lyrics and a great voice, a good stability within the band.
What does Carl Palmer bring to Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
Apart from his playing, he's tremendously energetic and an effervescent person. And he keeps things bubbling, you know.
Carl's the great comedian, I think. If ever you're down and things aren't going right, you just have to look across at him and he's just smiling away playing the drums.
And what about Keith Emerson? What does he bring to ELP?
He brings a kind of musical security.
Music in abundant quantities.
What is so special about the combination of Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
We're like a family, I think.
It's become like a sort of family.
I think being a group is like a family.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. So glad you could attend. Inside, go inside. Rest assured, you'll get your money's worth. Greatest show in heaven, hell, or earth. You gotta see show. It's a dynamo.
Tonight on In Concert, the return of Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
There behind the glass lies a real blade of grass. Careful as you pass. Long, long, long inside. The show's about to start. Guaranteed, you blow your head apart. You gotta see the show.
Plus an In Concert encore performance from Yes. Profile of Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Where did your love of classical music come from?
I started playing piano by ear, and my parents thought, oh, he's got a gift for this. And from that moment on, I hated it. It was scales, and it was playing these classical pieces. I had a love of jazz when I was a teenager, and I think Brubeck was a great influence. And I read one of his liner notes that he and Paul Desmond used a lot of counterpoint within their jazz improvisation, so I thought that's interesting. So I really went back and dug out my old music books, and particularly Bach, and I started incorporating those into my piano solos. I view myself as being a composer.
Do you consider yourself more of a composer or rearranger?
I'm a composer first, but I love the challenge of arranging any piece of music, whether it be a classical piece or a current piece or a standard. In many of the cases when I've rearranged classical pieces, if the composer has been living, I've normally made contact with him. And this was done with Copland, and I had the great fortune to meet Alberto Ginastera in Geneva when we did the Toccata, because it was important for me to get his approval and his reaction towards what I'd done with his music.
I know you're a big Oscar Peterson fan.
Oh, Oscar's just great. I mean, he's not only just an unbelievable keyboard player, it's like playing with God, you know.
How did you and Keith meet?
Keith and I met at the Fillmore West in San Francisco, and at that very time, you know, I saw Keith. He was also thinking of changing direction. Carl was playing with a group called Atomic Rooster, and we were friendly with Robert Stigwood, who was the manager of the group. And we talked with Robert, and he said, you know, I know this very, very good drummer who you should look at. And I think that's probably the whole thing of ELP, is it's the chemistry, as I'm sure it is with any group, successful group.
You wanna be an angel, you wanna be a star. Do you wanna play some magic on my guitar? Do you wanna be a poet, do you wanna be my string? You could be anything.
Who did you like as an early age as a drummer?
I saw a film with Sal Mineo. The film was called Drum Crazy. He really sort of captured the image of a drummer for me. He looked a bit like Tyrone Power, really good looking, you know, and just marvellous. And I saw that film and that was it, really. I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I came to America was in 1968. I never forget flying into Los Angeles, and we flew over one of these drive-ins, you know, and I could see the movie happening on the screen and the planes coming in, and I thought, God, you know, this is America.
Do you have any favorite ELP moments on stage?
Well, we did the flying piano sketch at California Jam, and then the people that designed it thought they could improve upon the idea. This time it's a 9-foot piano rather than it being a 7-foot Steinway. And on the legs of the piano we have fireworks, and I'm playing away like this, and I thought, well, it's about time I've had enough of this. So I said, okay, you can stop now, and I suppose my voice carried a bit like the Doppler effect, you know? You know, the Doppler effect as you getting one of these Leslies here, you know? So it's kind of stop. Finally the message got through, and I'm leaning it back against the strain of the momentum, and they suddenly shut it like that, and my head went forward and bang into the piano lid. My nose was bleeding, and I carried on playing.
Let's talk briefly about Asia.
The thing I did with Asia was this satellite broadcast in Tokyo. I got a call from Carl one night. He said, but we've committed to do this show in Tokyo. Could you come along and help? Then I learned it's a live satellite broadcast, you know. And I've got something like 4 or 5 weeks to prepare. And I just had to learn all the material. They were good songs, and I slipped in there quite comfortably. Not something I'd like to repeat, however.
Was there ever anything behind the story of Jimi Hendrix possibly joining ELP and the band being called HELP, H-E-L-P?
That was talked about. I never actually played with Jimmy. I think maybe Keith had something to do with him.
I knew Jimmy very well. A lot of times he asked me if I'd jam, and some of the occasions I may have done. We never approached Jimmy directly on this, but somehow it leaked out to the press after Carl had joined and everything had taken off. And I think somebody in the press had thought, oh, what a great idea, H-E.
In Concert continues their profile of ELP.
Always had an affinity for Aaron Copland. Fanfare for the Common Man in particular by him.
I was round at Greg's house one day, and he said, listen to this. This is, that's an incredible piece of music. One of his 10 fanfares, and it was Fanfare for the Common Man. So then I realized that that piece, and it was on its own a separate piece of music. And I went out, I bought the music, I brought it into rehearsals, I started dabbling with it, and just really started seeing how it worked with a bass shuffle in the end.
When we played it, I loved the arrangement which he made of it, which obviously is nothing like Copland played it. Interesting thing with the recording of that, we actually recorded that on one stereo microphone. We hadn't seen each other for a couple of months, and we were going to record in Switzerland, and I remember the day we walked into the studio, and I can't remember who it was, whether it was Greg or Keith or maybe myself. I said, well, let's just play Fanfare. The engineer, luckily enough, opened up this stereo mic in the middle of the room, and he had got it on tape. Listened to it back, oh yeah, fine. There's something very fresh about not being together and then going wallop, playing, and it worked. But Fanfare was quite a magical piece of music in many ways.
Are you eager to tour?
You're very, very keen to tour. It's not a question of going in and playing stadiums. It's not a question of anything like that. If we're able to go and give people pleasure and create some excitement, I'd be happy with that.
He had white horses, ladies by the score, all dressed in satin, waiting by the door. Ooh,
keyboards are you using now? Do you plan to use on stage? How many will we see?
At the moment, I don't know.
You're known for histrionics, incredible theatrics on stage.
Oh, it's a lot more for me to deal with, but it opens up a lot more possibilities.
How do you choose, out of the vast catalog the band has to draw from now, what do you play on stage?
Basically, what we try to do when compiling a show, you know, a show has to have a certain amount of things. You've got to have stuff from the past, the new stuff, but the show has to have highs and lows, and it's got to have the theatrical things. I think after being away for so long, too, it's nice to come back and let people see us as a group. I think that's important, apart from the fact that we enjoy playing as three people.
Bass playing in my face, driving me elastic. Drums, listen, here she comes, hammering the plastic. Keys, I play them out with ease. Freeze, she's shaking at the knees. You're doing something drastic.
Let's talk new LP.
Well, it's coming out May. It's produced by Mark Mancina. A lot of the pieces are like mini concepts on their own. We know what it's expected of the band, and I think this time we've lived up to it truly and properly.
We had tremendous motivation when we were first approached. We were first approached on this project to actually do a film score, and we played together, and immediately we heard something that none of us had heard for a lot of years. It was the real power in ELP, the dynamism in the band.
Is this some of the band's best work, do you think?
Undoubtedly.
It sounds very ELP. That's all I can tell you.
There's no escape from this band.